Hello everyone, welcome to TeloYouth Saturday morning educational webinar. Today we have Dr. Chris and Dr. Tina on the line. They have a combined 60 years of experience as naturopathic practitioners. They are internationally renowned educators and speakers, and most importantly, they are the formulators of our incredible products, Serum Youth Serum and TeloYouth. Good morning, Dr. Chris, Dr. Tina.
Good morning, MJ, and good morning, everyone out there.
Hey, good morning, MJ, and welcome, everyone. Happy Saturday. It's great to be on with all of you. And today is a fun one. We get to talk about our emotions, something that a lot of us were told not to talk about or experience. So this will be fun because lots of things come up when you start rejuvenating your body. So let's get this going here. All right, so let's talk a little bit here about our body and the emotions. And it's interesting, there are many times when we may fool ourselves, and there are many times we can fool others, but we can never fool our body, right? It's the most sensitive barometer in the world, and Dr. Cheryl Selman is a very well-known naturopath, and I love that quote by her. And you know, we can become disconnected, we can numb all of our signals, but most importantly, you know, the ones that we ignore, you know, those signals, is our emotions. And we need to be able to stay in tune with them. So what is our emotional body? First of all, we're energy beings. We have an emotional body that's part of our energy body, and, you know, our physical body. And so our physical body is here to express our needs through our emotions. And our emotions influence so many different things in our world. It's how we, you know, what we think, we feel, we do, and we say. And we can be in the middle of something and have an emotional response, and it will change the direction on where we go in life. So it's so important to us. So everything we encounter triggers our emotions. It influences our health, our relationships, our perspective, and the perception of our world. So we can't deny our emotions, especially when we're rejuvenating. So let's talk a little bit about stress. Let's talk a little bit about our emotions, because today's challenge is stress, but it's about handling the stress in all of its various forms. And stress is relative. It's relative to each individual. And it's because there's so many factors that help us respond to stress in a healthy way. If we have low energy, we have low resiliency, we have a greater stress coming at us, we can't handle it as well, our cortisols go up, and we can't sleep because our melatonin drops. When our cortisol is up, our melatonin comes down. When we have poor sleep, we don't handle our emotions as well. We become more vulnerable. So there's a direct correlation between low energy, stress, and emotional imbalance. Now, it's interesting. It also works in a reverse way. You could be fine, but have an emotional upset, and all of a sudden you don't handle it well, or you don't communicate or express what you're upset about. And that emotional challenge then kind of gets stuffed or suppressed back into the body. And we can go through this reverse of a cycle where we won't sleep because we had an emotional upset, our cortisols are increased, our stress is higher, it reduces our resiliency, we're more vulnerable, and then guess what? It affects our energy, then our energy drops. So it's really important for us to have this healthy, balanced expression of our emotions as we feel them. Dr. Chris, can you please explain a little bit about our energy, our stress, and our emotions as well through the mitochondria?
Oh, I will. And I just want to add, just to emphasize the points you just made, is that, you know, increased cortisol means less melatonin, and melatonin doesn't mean just good healing and restful sleep, but Melatonin increases our cell regeneration for that nighttime repair. It acts as an antioxidant and a free radical scavenger. It helps balance estrogen in both men and women. And this is really a key component to cancer prevention in later years of life because of the different estrogens we produce and the good ones and the need to balance them. And melatonin stimulates the immune system. So today, we talk about how important our immunity is to deal with the stressors and the viral pandemic. And the innate response is the immune response that comes from the T lymphocytes that the melatonin stimulates. And it's a key substance to adapting to our circadian rhythms. And just as Dr. Tina said, helping that sleep cycle. And, our body clocks regulate all the different types of signaling that goes on. And, the signaling that happens in the body, one of the key components to signaling is our mitochondria. And our mitochondria are these incredible energy engines that are in every one of our cells that we need to manufacture energy. And in the key cells, like the brain and the heart and the immune cells, there's thousands of these little energy factories. So when we understand, that we need energy and we feel that we're tired all the time, the number one cause for fatigue is the shutdown of these cellular engines. And what's interesting is that how this ties in with stress, what we were just talking about, is that these mitochondria function beautifully and generate energy unless there's some type of danger response. They have to go into a defense mode. And this is referred to as a cell danger response. And the mitochondria shift from making energy to going into the defense. So meaning that's going to help support and turn on the immune system. And so, the different types of emotions we experience, especially today, the fear of getting infected by a virus, the fear of financial ruin, physical exhaustion, extreme exhaustion, it doesn't matter. Our emotional interpretation of our environment plays a huge role in how healthy we are and how we can maintain our energy and our well-being. Dr. Tina, you want to add to any of that?
Oh, it's so true. And it's the threat can either be perceived or real. And how we perceive it, how we process it, how we move it through all of our various systems matters. And when we have that higher cortisol, it makes it more difficult. And for those of you that want to understand more about the cortisol response and the mediation of cortisol, we do have studies in the library that shows how TeloYouth does help mediate stress. But when we look at this steroid hormone cascade, when we see that we have good cholesterol in the body up at the top here, and we need to have the fear stress response as well as the thrive rejuvenate. They need to be in a balance with each other, because if we have to run from the tiger, we obviously have to have our cortisols and our adrenaline and our cholesterol converts. That cholesterol, we need to have that to convert into the good hormones and to the other hormones on the left hand side. So what tends to happen is we will end up in what we call a cortisol, adrenaline, locked in cycle and stuck over on that left hand side of this chart. When we are over on that left hand side of the chart, what happens is we don't have the ability to move over into the thriving, the rejuvenating side of the chart. And so one of the clues that we have is that if you can't sleep at night, we're typically locked over on that left-hand side, because when we get into that deep, deep sleep, that's when we're able to move into the rejuvenation part. All the systems are rejuvenating when we're in that deep, deep sleep, like when a baby is sleeping, we're rejuvenating. And no matter what age we are, we have the ability with science and the technology and formulas like our TeloYouth can help us to go back in time and rejuvenate all of our.
Well, I wanted to get back to the point of cholesterol. I mean, as long as I've been a practitioner, the issue of cholesterol has been, it's the bad guy, but it is so important. And when you understand how important it is, it's like 1 in 10 Americans are healthy in their metabolic state. And one of the reasons that we have 9 out of 10 that have a metabolic disorder is because their inability to handle good fats, and the good fats that make the cholesterol. We consume too many of the seed oils, and these are all the refined and processed oils that just destroy the cholesterol in our bodies. Without this cholesterol, we're not producing all the good hormones we need to deal with the stress. So you're talking about, number one, handling the stress response with TeloYouth, which has been shown clinically to reduce stress by as much as 50%. And that is just huge. So now that whole focus on producing this cortisol can be shifted to the healthy rejuvenating hormones, the youth hormones, the DHEAs, the testosterones, the estrogens. And so it starts with eliminating that food stress that allows us to make the good cholesterol, and then the good cholesterol gets handled properly with the TeloYouth by facilitating the body's ability to deal with the stress and have greater resilience and to the kinds of stressors we're facing today. So that's what I wanted to get in there. Thanks.
Great, thanks. Did your cortisols go up when you got knocked off? We couldn't hear you.
Not until I realized that I wasn't even on. We had a great conversation. So, okay. So we're dealing with all the signals in the body. So the mitochondria, they pick up the environment and they start signaling, how we're going to regenerate, repair, make energy. And it's so important to stay out of that cell danger response, as I talked about earlier. So that handling the stress that comes from the emotional traumas that we're facing is so important. And TeloYouth plays such a key role in that. But another big area is balancing the signaling from the GI tract. So number 6 there, handling your digestion and elimination. The gut and digestive system are so key because the gut talks directly to the brain, and it triggers all these responses. And again, talking about emotions, gut feelings, that's what it all reflects on, the gut response. So it's so important. And of course, the gut is the home of our microbiome, and the microbiome is, again, how we handle elimination and digestion of our foods and keep our immunity healthy and strong so that the immune system can do its proper signaling. And all of this plays a major role in the rejuvenation, which is our stem cell response. So TeloYouth has the ability to facilitate the immune system to release the stem cells. And then we have the very specific signaling that comes from our egg proteins that facilitate the activation of those stem cells. So now you're seeing the orchestration of all the different systems, the endocrine system we showed you with the cholesterol chart, the brain system that is tied to the GI tract, and the immune system that is this, orchestrator of all the other systems in the body. So just an incredible dynamic, signaling process that goes on, and we help balance that and facilitate its accuracy and its benefit for healing, protecting, and repairing the body.
Exactly. And if we don't have the energy in our mitochondria, we can't have the proper signaling. So we start at the very basic foundation of rebuilding our mitochondria, our energy batteries. And I love that you brought up gut feelings, because we have those healthy emotions. And so we're meant to get the signal of our emotion and express it in a healthy way. And if we don't express it, what ends up happening, we do the opposite. We suppress it. And working with clients, I've worked with so many clients about helping them express their emotions. And it's okay if you don't express it right away. Maybe you need to go and think a little bit. But within 24 to 48 hours, it's really good to express that energy so that you just don't compartmentalize it and take it and stuff it. So if you suppress it, it goes into your organs. But if you're expressing it, think of it this way. It's like energy moving up and out. It's like a spiral moving up and out. If you're suppressing it, it's reversing the spin and the vibration of that and pulling it down into the organs. And that's when it becomes stored or blocked. You know, it blocks that natural health and well-being of our organs. So now our organs are starting to get this suppressed energy. And it can work another way. If our organs are stressed, it can block the emotional energy to positively express itself. For example, let's say that you've had some overload in toxins. Your liver is blocked, so now you're not able to really work on, you know, if you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling something, you know, out of balance or something's not right with you, you just stop expressing. You can't really feel it because your liver is blocking it. So it works both ways. It's very interesting how we need to keep a healthy body and we need to express our emotions in a healthy way. And when I'm working with someone, we need to stay in tune with that gut feeling. Really listen to that inner barometer. Now it's interesting. For a while, we weren't sure what was going on when people were saying, you know, I'm taking my TeloYouth and yet I'm feeling kind of angry, or I'm feeling kind of sad. And what happens is our cells, they become imprinted when you suppress the emotions because there's memories that are tied with those emotions. So when you start regenerating and rejuvenating the organs, because you start at the cellular level, then it moves into the organs, and it moves into the systems. We get younger from the inside, and those cells turn over. And as they start to release, you know, and in the body, and new cells are coming in and regenerating, what happens is those memories can come to the surface, or those emotions can come to the surface. And what we need to do is just take a look at that and understand that, oh, okay, well, I might be doing some retracing here, some emotional retracing. So when we're looking at the different types of emotions, we're going to focus on 5 major today, but this is an entire system that you can take a look at on the internet or do more research if this really rings true for you. And when we're looking at the liver, we have unresolved anger can store in the liver. And each one of these organs has a vibration, a certain energetic blueprint that goes along with them. And these emotions that are tied to them have a very similar energetic blueprint. And that's why these different emotions can store in these different organs. It's a very fabulous way, by the way, for the body to be able to create some balance with itself. So when somebody has unresolved anger, you'll notice it because they'll shout, they'll be angry, their voice is loud, they're yelling to get their point across. When somebody has unresolved hatred, they're bitter. The cup is always half empty. When you're looking at the kidneys with unresolved fear, you're going to notice this person is going to be doing deep sighing. They're trying to release the fear. When somebody is dealing with unresolved grief, it'll store in the lungs and they'll be crying. They'll cry over the littlest things. And then there's the unresolved worry, somebody who's the worrywart. And that's where that unresolved worry will store in the stomach. And this is the overthinker. This is the person that shuts off their feelings and they have to think about it. If they think and you'll notice they'll say, well, I think instead of I feel. So there's a lot of different clues around all of this. But when we have this like unresolved sadness, it can lead into depression. And so people will say, you know, I'm feeling a little sad today, you know, but I don't know why. And I'm taking my TeloYouth. Well, it's okay. It's just allow that feeling or that sense to come through. And if you're experiencing more of these, and especially what's happening in our culture today and globally, there could be some overwhelm because we tend to stuff or suppress a lot of these. And that will create an overwhelm feeling. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add to this one?
Nothing other than just these are based on ancient systems that have been around for hundreds of years, and the validity is just phenomenal. So just something great to understand and learn, and why we developed the formula the way we did to support these different dynamics that happen in the body.
Exactly. So when we look at the 5 major organs and emotions that are tied to them, when the liver is in balance, you'll notice I have colors over there for each organ as well, because the liver being green, energy of green, it's about, getting what you want in life. You have the ability, when your liver's in balance, you have the ability to create what you want. With the heart, you have the ability in balance, whether it's in balance, to feel love and acceptance. And kidneys, it's okay to have fear, but when we're in overwhelm of fear, we procrastinate. That's a good clue to take a look at. With the lungs, the color of white is about breathing deeply and being able to face your challenges and move forward. And then the stomach being yellow, this is about understanding and being able to discriminate and choose what nurtures you. And, our culture has typically been about taking care of others. I mean, I grew up in a place where it was about taking care of others first. So we all have a theme here, and we're human. It's part of our journey here, is to be able to understand and look at all of these things in balance, know which one is the one that you do, and start working with the different colors of those organs. It will come up as you start to rejuvenate with TeloYouth, because it wants to move up and out of your body. Those memories are going to come to the forefront, and these are different ways that you can work with all of those energies.
It's so interesting, Dr. Tina, that the body, as we say, is not just energy, but it's also dynamic in its energy, and it fluctuates, it ebbs and flows. And each of the organs have a different time of when they express more dominantly and repair and regenerate. So here you're seeing an organ clock that helps everyone understand what's going on within our system. And as a practitioner, we often will talk to a person about their sleep patterns, but also what times of the night do they have a problem going to sleep? Do they wake up in the middle of the night? And what time is it that they wake up? This is very significant because it tells us which organs might be stressed and which ones could be out of balance and need the attention to facilitate this dynamic that goes on. So remember, our sleep allows us to repair and regenerate at night. And look at the systems: the detoxification system, the respiration system, the elimination, the digestion, all the things that happen during the day. They recharge and reestablish themselves at nighttime. And without that good sleep, you don't have the ability to do that recharge. So it's so important to understand why stress mediation is so key, and why TeloYouth, how it does that, facilitates that function, and then supports all the other dynamics for the regeneration and the repair on the cellular level.
Exactly. And I'd like to point out the liver from 1 to 3 a.m. So if you're waking up between 1 and 3 a.m., your liver is pretty active. And that means that it could be rejuvenating. And you mentioned everything is about an ebb and flow and a cycle. And this might happen, for a week or just a few days. And then next thing you know, you're sleeping through that time. We're so dynamic, we're multidimensional. There's so many different variables to consider when you're going through the rejuvenation process. And that's the message for today. And just know that all of those things are normal and it's okay. and there's not something wrong with you. What you think is wrong with you might be exactly what's right with you. Because you're waking up between 1 and 3 doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your liver. It means that it's active, it's rejuvenating, and just continue with your TeloYouth, and it will help you through that process. And how can you support, this emotional retracing? Just remember, it's a good thing. Allow yourself to feel the emotion, recognize it, know that it's there. Please don't restuff it or suppress it. Allow it to move up and out without judgment and without directing it at someone else. These are your emotions. You're not the victim. Nobody's causing you to feel a certain way. So you need to own it without blaming anyone. Now, this is not an easy process. It can sometimes, it's something that we learn to do. And so sometimes it's really helpful to just take a moment and journal your thoughts and feelings. Get in touch with them. Just through this process, know that it's yours. Some people will wake up with crazy dreams saying, what was happening? And I love that, because we know that the body is retracing. And if you're having these big, vivid, strong dreams, it's wonderful because your systems are moving it through your dreams. And make sure you're practicing gratitude every day. Even if you say, what am I grateful for? One thing per day, you can find it. So practice gratitude for yourself, forgive yourself and others, and then just be kind and gentle. We have absolutely no idea what another person is going through. There's no way for us to know that. It's their experience. We can think that we do, but we don't. So we have to honor that in every one of us, and continue to take your TeloYouth and practice all of those good lifestyle habits that we're teaching throughout all of our webinars. And if you need to review those, please go to TeloYouth on YouTube and look at those.
Well, that was beautifully said. And we just want to emphasize to everyone that we love doing these calls for educational purposes only, and they're not a substitute for a healthcare practitioner. So if you have any condition, be sure to work directly with your healthcare practitioner, as these, what we say is not designed to treat, cure, or ameliorate any type of disease. But we love helping you understand how your body works.